Hello, everyone, and welcome to NCPH's Fall Graduate Fair. My name is Kate Morgan, and I am co-chair of NCPH's new Professional and Student Committee. Our committee helps NCPH consider issues, services, and questions concerned to both graduate students and emerging professionals in the public history field. We organize in-person gatherings at the annual meeting, as well as virtually throughout the year. And we develop resources to facilitate the transition from undergraduate to graduate student to new professional. Today, we'll be talking about the Graduate Student Handbook, which we'll go through in just a bit, and it's one of our recently updated resources. Before I go into further detail, though, I should probably tell you a little bit more about myself. I am a graduate of American University's Public History program located in Washington, D.C. I went through the fifth-year BA/MA program in 2020 and 2021, and I was able to continue my historical education in an affordable way while deepening my local network of public history professionals. This afforded me the opportunities to try many facets and forms of the field, from archives to libraries to museums to historic preservation to federal funding. Now I bring all of those experiences of interacting with the public and researching and building narratives to grant writing and StoryCorps. So with all of that in mind, let's talk about choosing and thriving in a public history program through the walkthrough of the new and improved Graduate Student Handbook. And I will share my screen. Ta-da! So this is the Graduate Student Handbook. Maybe you've already seen it, maybe you've walked through it, but I'm here today to kind of walk through it with you so that hopefully we'll be able to pick out some of the great advice that people have written throughout time. So the Graduate Student Handbook is an updated version of the Public History Navigator. So this publication has existed since 2015, but we've updated it since 2015 public history is not necessarily the same as 2025 public history. This is separated into two separate sections: choosing a program, where to start, considering types of graduate programs, things to know before applying, and what do programs look for in potential students. You might also want to check out some of the other videos from our other new professional and student committee members, Eleanor and Fiona, Elise, and Umul, to hear more about their personal experiences going and applying to master's programs, PhD programs, and beyond. The second part of the Graduate Student Handbook covers thriving as a public history graduate student, considering things like internships and funding, knowing what the area is like for where your school is located, different opportunities in professional development, as well as a ton of resources. So we'll just kind of start to go through. So of course, the biggest thing for choosing a program is finding the right fit. And when you want to start, you want to figure out what your priorities are. What are you willing to let go of? What are you wanting to fight for in your public history experience? You should explore all the different options that are out there. There's lots of resources on NCPH's website, which anything that you see in blue will link you back to an NCPH resource on our website. You might also consider identifying skills, setting up informational interviews with different people to figure out your career path. So all of this is just good general advice, but really this journey is unique. What worked for me is going to be different than what works for you, and it's going to be different than what works for our other committee members who share their own experiences today. We also try to detail in the handbook all of the different ways in which public history or even the public humanities can kind of exist. What are some of those other graduate programs out there, whether that's public history, public humanities, or history, a master's degree in museum studies or historic preservation, digital history, archives. Sometimes these degrees are different, and that kind of depends on where you want to land in the public history field. If you want to work in libraries or archives, that is usually a separate degree from public history. And it's always good to know these things up front if that's what you want to do. And this graduate fair for public history is the way to start to figure out that journey, then that's great. And if you're going to continue on the public history path, we welcome you into the field, of course. So some additional tips before applying. Look at professors' research and career interests. You might want to check out Umul's video for a great way that she identified her professor that she works with. There's also different advice in here about what the average time it takes for students to graduate, good things to consider, where they end up, any loans you might have to take out. these are all just detailed further in this handbook. You might also consider reaching out to current and former students, researching some course listings, all of which you can consider as you're looking for a graduate program. You should also reflect on the location, whether you yourself are currently located in or outside of the United States, and what that might mean for visas or other accreditations of going from an undergraduate to a graduate degree. And then just ways that now as an undergraduate student or potentially coming from a different field, how you can really bolster your application to show your interest in public history, whether that be through volunteering or internship experiences. You might consider giving tours or other opportunities. We also detail here a little further about letters of recommendation, working on personal statements. Again, our other committee members touch a little bit further into detail with what worked for them. And then, of course, we have a list of resources about going the extra mile and being able to thrive in a public history program. We talk about the thesis or the final project, which often is somewhat of a capstone of your potentially 1 or 2 year master's program. Maybe you're here today considering a PhD program. We detail a lot of those processes in this grad handbook. We also talk a little bit about networking and professional development. The fact that you're here today is a perfect example of professional development, so you're already doing something right. And then other things to consider, mentors and conferences. Of course, we have our annual NCPH conference every year, so you might consider meeting us all in person. And then, of course, we outline as well what we wish we knew when applying to grad school, tips and tricks. So I don't want to go through everything in too much detail because, of course, we want you to be able to sit with this, really marinate on all of the great advice that people have given over the years in co-creating this resource. And if you have any questions about it, then of course, please feel free to reach out to any of us that you see in these videos today. We're all pretty much on LinkedIn. If you have any questions or you want to get connected to our committee members or even join a new professional and student committee meeting, please feel free to reach out via email. It's ncph new prof grad stud committee @gmail.com. It's all one word. So again, it's ncph new prof prof grad stud stud committee @gmail.com. And of course, we wish you the best of luck in your application process, and I look forward to working with you one day in the field. Bye.